Kayla Darnell pressed her boots into the gray dust of Vera 9. The shuttle's engines had faded behind her, leaving only silence and the sharp bite of cold wind. The dead moon stretched around her, jagged rocks catching the faint light of the distant sun. Nothing lived here, or at least nothing anyone had seen in centuries. Most people called it a waste of space. Most people didn't pay 3 credits for an abandoned hangar. Kayla had. The hangar stood ahead like a broken tooth, walls bent and pitted, doors half fallen, metal corroded from years of neglect. She squinted through the haze, imagining what lay inside. Others would see only rust, dust, and old memories. She saw a chance. A chance to claim something extraordinary. Something the galaxy had forgotten. The landing pad was cracked, half covered by drifting dust, and the echo of her boots sounded hollow against the hollow building. Kayla's chest tightened. Fear fluttered, as it always did before a real gamble, but she forced it down. Fear was not weakness, it was fuel. She adjusted the strap of her pack and pushed forward. Inside, the hangar smelled of ash and metal. Broken drones lay scattered, some still twitching with residual power. Crates had been ripped open, their contents long gone or destroyed. Kayla crouched to examine a shard of metal etched with strange markings. Her pulse quickened. These markings were old, very old. They spoke of an era before the collapse, when humans and other species fought for every starship, every resource. They hinted at something bigger than the moon itself. She ran her fingers along a fallen console. Sparks of static hissed and died. The equipment was dead, but the layout of the hangar suggested something hidden. Kayla's instincts had never failed her. She had spent her life in dangerous places, derelict ships, abandoned colonies, collapsing stations, and she had learned to trust the subtle clues. A scratch on the floor, a shifted panel, the smell of burned circuits. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time was strange on Vera 9. The sun barely moved, casting long gray shadows that made the hangar seem alive. Kayla crawled under a pile of rubble, lifted a rusted panel, and found a narrow shaft. It went deep, too deep for casual explorers. Her breath caught. Whatever was down there had not been touched in centuries. And something in her gut told her it was worth touching. She set up her scanner, sweeping the area with quiet precision. The display flickered. Most readings were junk, metal scraps, dust, void. But one signal pulsed faintly, deep under the hangar floor. A strong energy signature. Not human. Not fully alien either. Her pulse raced. Starship cores often gave off weak traces even when powered down. Could it be? A lost ship? The wind outside rose suddenly, scraping against the hangar walls, sounding almost like a warning. Kayla paused. Her fingers hovered over the scanner controls. She could run. She could leave like the others had, calling this place cursed. But she did not. Humans, she reminded herself, were not built for giving up. Humans survive because we face what others fear. And Kayla had never been ordinary. She descended the shaft carefully, every step making the metal groan. The darkness swallowed her, but her eyes adjusted quickly. She could just make out shapes below. A larger chamber, walls lined with unknown machinery. Something massive slept there. She did not know if it was alive, mechanical, or both. But she felt it, a presence, a heartbeat of potential. Kayla crouched low, listening. Her mind raced with possibilities and dangers. The moon had been abandoned for a reason. Perhaps whoever left this behind wanted it forgotten. Perhaps it was deadly. Perhaps it could destroy her. But she had to know. Every human discovery that mattered had begun with the same choice. Risk everything for the unknown. The floor beneath her creaked. Dust cascaded from above. She froze, heart hammering. She was not alone. Something, or someone, had shifted in the shadows of the hangar above. Kayla's hand slid to her side, brushing the grip of her plasma cutter. She didn't want to fight, but she would if she had to. Humans did not surrender to fear. Humans adapted, and humans survived. A faint hum began under the floor, low and almost imperceptible. The energy signature from her scanner pulsed in rhythm. Kayla's eyes widened. Whatever lay beneath her was waking, or reacting to her presence. She swallowed hard, feeling the thrill and the dread mingling in her chest. Kayla steadied herself, lowering her pack and tightening her grip on her tools. She whispered under her breath, more to herself than anyone else, "Let's see what you've been hiding." And with that, she descended fully into the darkness below, each step carrying her closer to discovery, danger, and the chance to prove why humans were never meant to be ordinary. The shadows seemed to move as if aware of her. A faint glow shimmered ahead, and the hum grew stronger, almost like a heartbeat. Kayla's pulse matched it, fast and alive. Whatever waited, it was enormous. Whatever waited, it had survived the centuries, and now it was awake. Kayla's boots echoed on the cold metal floor of the chamber beneath the hangar. The hum beneath her feet vibrated through her bones, steady and insistent. The glow ahead pulsed faintly, highlighting the outlines of something massive. She crouched low, scanning with her portable scanner. The readings confirmed her fear and hope. A dormant starship, enormous, intact and humming with residual power. Her heart raced. This was more than she had dreamed of. But danger was never far behind in places like this. The faint hum shifted, irregular for a moment as if sensing her. Kayla's fingers tightened on her plasma cutter. She had no idea if the ship's systems were defensive, alive in some sense, or simply old tech left to decay. Humans survived by being smart, adaptable and daring, and Kayla had all three. A sudden noise made her whip her head toward the shaft she had descended. A scraping, metallic sound. Someone was above. She froze, listening. Another scrape, louder this time. Footsteps? Or a falling piece of debris? Either way, she could not ignore it. She pressed herself against the wall, breathing shallowly. Kayla knew scavenger gangs frequented the outskirts of Vera 9, hunting anything valuable left behind. It wasn't luck that brought them here, they tracked unusual energy readings. And whatever they were, they would not care if she lived or died. She had to move. Slowly, deliberately, Kayla slipped toward the starship, keeping low behind scattered machinery. The glow revealed the contours of its hull, sleek, black, almost liquid in form. Her mind raced with possibilities. Pre-collapsed starships like this could house energy cores more powerful than entire colonies. And in the wrong hands, the consequences could be catastrophic. A faint click echoed from above. Kayla's stomach tightened. Someone, or something, was testing the hangar doors, probing for entry. She ducked behind a fallen crate, scanning the shadows. Her eyes caught movement. A figure shrouded in dust, metallic armor glinting dimly. A scavenger, armed and likely ruthless. Kayla weighed her options. Fight? Escape? She had no cover, no reinforcements. But humans never froze under threat. They adapted. She spotted a pile of broken drone parts nearby. Improvised weapons, yes, but enough to give her an edge. Quickly, she scavenged what she could. A power cell, some wiring, a damaged control panel. Her mind worked faster than her pulse. Using the drone circuits, she rigged a small EMP device. It was crude, risky, and could fry more than she intended, but it might disable whoever, or whatever, was coming. Footsteps approached, crunching over metal and debris. Kayla's breath slowed, her muscles tensed. The scavenger paused, sensing something was off. Then he stepped into the glow of the chamber, too close. Kayla triggered the EMP. Sparks erupted, blue light crackling in the dark. The scavenger's system sparked violently. His helmet glowed briefly before going dead. He swore under his breath, fumbling, but he was not finished. Kayla ran. She darted to a shadowed corridor along the starship's side. The scavenger followed, slower now, cautious. Every step Kayla took was precise, every move calculated. Her courage was not the absence of fear but the mastery of it. She had survived far worse in abandoned colonies and collapsing stations. She could do it again. The chamber's layout worked in her favor. Pipes and machinery created narrow passages, forcing the scavenger to slow. Kayla used this to her advantage, kicking loose debris to trip him. Sparks flew as metal collided with metal. She could hear his curses echoing in the chamber. Then she reached a reinforced wall that looked like it could support a collapsed section. A risky plan formed instantly. Kayla set the supports she had scavenged earlier, positioning them to collapse part of the ceiling if triggered. She had no time to consider the consequences. Speed was essential. With a deep breath, she activated a small charge from the EMP generator. A section of the overhead metal groaned, twisting violently before crashing down behind her pursuer. Dust and debris filled the air, making it impossible to see. The scavenger shouted, trapped and blinded. Kayla did not wait to see more. She slipped past and into a narrow alcove near the ship. Her chest heaved, sweat and dust clinging to her skin. The danger was not over. This moon was abandoned but not empty. Yet for the first time, Kayla felt she had an advantage. She studied the ship's hull, tracing the glow of the energy signature to the airlock. It was sealed tight, ancient, but it shimmered faintly in recognition of her presence, as if the ship itself waited for her. Kayla's mind worked faster than her racing heart. The scavenger could recover. Others might follow. Every moment counted. If she could reach the ship's interface and activate even a minimal diagnostic, she could learn its defenses, and perhaps use them. Her hands danced over her tools, connecting circuits, rewiring a control panel. Sparks flew, wires hummed, and she whispered to herself, "Come on, Kayla. You've faced worse. You'll make it through this." The hum from the ship grew louder, rhythmic, like a heartbeat in the dark. Kayla's pulse synced with it. She realized then that the starship was not just dormant, it was alive in its own way, waiting for a human who could understand it. Another scrape echoed from above. Kayla froze. Not just one scavenger now, more were entering the hangar. She had no time to waste. Sweat burned her eyes, dust filled her lungs, but she refused to falter. Humans survived by thinking faster, acting smarter, and refusing to surrender. And Kayla had never surrendered. She took a deep breath, her fingers trembling slightly over the control panel. Whatever lay beyond this point, the sleeping starship, the scavengers, the danger, it would test her courage, her skill, and her determination to the limit. She pressed the final button on the panel. Lights flickered along the airlock. The hum grew stronger. The starship seemed to recognize her. And then, without warning, a deep, metallic growl echoed through the chamber. Something powerful and ancient had awakened. Kayla's heart slammed against her ribs. She gritted her teeth and whispered, "Let's see what you've been hiding." The shadows shifted and the chamber trembled. The real danger, and the real discovery, was about to begin. Kayla's eyes adjusted to the dim glow of the starship's hull. It stretched ahead of her like a black jewel, sleek and silent, yet pulsing faintly with energy. The hum beneath her feet grew louder, rhythmic, almost alive. Every instinct in her body screamed that this was no ordinary craft. Pre-collapsed starships were rare enough, but this was something legendary. She approached cautiously, her boots crunching on the debris-strewn floor. Panels of the ship reflected her image, distorted and alien. Kayla traced her fingers along the hull, feeling grooves and inscriptions she didn't recognize. Some were human, remnants of old spacefarers, but others were alien, curved lines that seemed to flow like liquid metal, almost alive. Her pulse quickened. The ship had survived centuries in perfect condition. It had waited. And now, somehow, it had sensed her. The airlock loomed ahead, ancient but intact. Kayla knelt, examining the locking mechanism. There was no keypad, no conventional access panel. Her scanner revealed a neural lock, biometric and sophisticated, meant to identify the original pilot. She had never faced one like this. Hackers, scavengers, or rogue AI could never get past it. But Kayla had learned that humans thrived where machines failed. Fear, caution, and intelligence were her allies. She dug into her pack and pulled out a salvaged drone AI fragment she had rescued from the hangar earlier. Sparks flew as she connected wires to the panel, rigging a neural interface mimic. Her hands shook slightly, nerves straining against excitement. One wrong connection, one miscalculation, and the system could fry, or worse. But she didn't flinch. Humans survived because we calculated risk, adapted, and dared. Kayla fit every inch of that definition. Minutes felt like hours as she worked, sweat beading on her forehead. The neural interface hummed faintly, wires glowing with borrowed life. Kayla held her breath. The panel responded, a faint shimmer across the airlock surface. She adjusted a connection, rerouted a bypass, and then pressed her palm against the mimic. The lock reacted. A soft click echoed through the chamber. The airlock hissed open. Kayla's chest tightened with awe. Before her lay the interior of the starship, immense, sleek, and untouched. Consoles glowed softly, displaying unfamiliar symbols. The cockpit seats seemed sculpted for beings she had only seen in history logs, yet one seat, the captain's, seemed to await her presence. A human could sit there and control the ship. Somehow, it had been waiting for a human. Kayla stepped forward, scanning the displays. Systems were in standby, cores humming faintly. Life support, propulsion, and navigation all flickered online at her presence. She realized then that this was more than a ship, it was semi-sentient. It responded to intelligence, ingenuity, courage. The ship had survived centuries, but it needed someone like her. Her moment of awe was shattered by a sudden alarm, a low mechanical growl from outside the chamber. Kayla froze. The scavengers from earlier had recovered, or worse, others had arrived. Whoever or whatever they were, they now had access to the hangar. She had no weapons, no reinforcements. The starship could be taken, or destroyed, before she could even leave. Her mind raced. Humans thrived in impossible situations because we could see solutions machines overlooked. She needed to protect the ship and herself. She scanned the interface, noting defense systems that were dormant but functional. Automated drones, energy turrets, and hallways lined with force fields, all silent, waiting for activation. She didn't hesitate. With deliberate movements, she activated a defensive perimeter, drawing on the ship's ancient power without fully understanding it. The hum intensified, the ship responding to her commands like a living ally. From above, footsteps and shouts echoed. The scavengers were closing in, curious and desperate. Kayla ducked low, manipulating the ship's control panels. Lights shimmered across the hangar as drones lifted into the air, turrets clicked, and the old systems powered to life. She didn't aim to kill, humans didn't always need brute force, but to defend, to survive, to prove her worth. A figure appeared at the edge of the chamber, silhouetted against the faint moonlight. Kayla's pulse hammered in her chest. She took a deep breath, recalling every scrap of experience she had. Abandoned stations, collapsing colonies, derelict ships. Humans survived by thinking faster, acting smarter, daring more than anyone else. And she had all three. She triggered a holographic projection from the ship, creating multiple decoys of herself. The scavenger hesitated, unsure which figure was real. Kayla seized the moment, sliding to the cockpit and pressing herself into the captain's seat. The ship responded instantly, systems syncing with her neural signature. The hum became a roar. The air around her vibrated with potential. Kayla's mind raced with possibilities. This starship was more than salvage, it was a key, a weapon, a treasure beyond measure. But she knew the real danger was not just outside but inside as well. Could she control it? Could she wield its power without losing herself? Humans had survived far worse odds because we adapted, because we refused to surrender. She could do this. Another shadow moved along the hangar wall. Kayla's grip tightened on the controls. The scavengers had found another path inside. Her heart hammered, adrenaline sharp and pure. But for the first time she felt the ship acknowledge her, not as a user, not as a trespasser, but as a human who had the courage to reach it. The hum rose again, resonating through the chamber. Kayla's breath came in shallow bursts, excitement and fear entwined. She whispered to herself, determination solidifying into resolve, "I am ready. Let them come." The airlock behind her shuddered as footsteps drew closer. The sleeping starship had awakened, and now humans and scavengers alike would face a force beyond imagination. But Kayla had a plan and she had the courage to see it through. The shadow paused, a weapon raised, a hiss of challenge echoing. Kayla's eyes glimmered with focus and defiance. She had come too far to fail. Whatever awaited, she would meet it, and humanity would not be underestimated. Kayla's pulse pounded in her ears as the footsteps drew closer. She could hear multiple voices now, gruff, angry, human but not hers. The scavengers had regrouped, clearly more organized than she had anticipated. They had no idea what they were facing. They thought the moon was dead, the hangar empty, the ship worthless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. She gripped the controls, feeling the hum of the starship beneath her hands. It was alive in a way she had never experienced. It responded to her thoughts, her courage, her presence. The defensive system she had activated flickered to life. Drones rose from hidden alcoves, silently patrolling. Turrets clicked into position, aimed at entry points. Force fields shimmered along the corridors. Kayla's heart raced, but she did not panic. Humans survived impossible odds because we calculated risk and acted without hesitation. The first scavenger entered the chamber. He froze, eyes widening at the sight of drones hovering silently and turrets glowing faintly in the gloom. Kayla triggered a holographic decoy, an exact image of herself standing at the cockpit entrance. The scavenger shouted, hesitated, unsure which was real. Kayla took the moment to slip deeper into the starship systems, interfacing with its semi-sentient core. Every control she touched made the ship hum louder, alive, awake, and fully aware of her intentions. More scavengers followed, and Kayla realized she could not simply wait for them to reach her. She needed to act preemptively. Using the starship's interface, she initiated a series of environmental controls. Hatches closed, doors sealed, corridors shifted. The hangar became a maze of walls and barriers, each one designed to slow and confuse her attackers. Sparks flew as metal panels moved into place, forcing scavengers to split apart. They shouted, cursed, and attempted to push through, but Kayla stayed 3 steps ahead. A drone hovered near one of the corridors, firing a pulse that disabled an approaching scavenger's energy rifle. Another attempted to climb a ladder, only to be trapped by a sudden energy field. Kayla watched, heart hammering, exhilaration mingling with fear. Humans survived because we were daring, clever, and willing to use the tools around us. Every instinct she had honed in abandoned colonies and derelict ships was working now. She was alone against multiple armed opponents, and yet she felt unstoppable. Then a different threat emerged. One of the scavengers, younger and reckless, managed to bypass a force field and was racing toward the cockpit. Kayla reacted instantly, triggering a temporary gravitational shift in the corridor ahead of him. He stumbled violently, crashing into a wall, sliding across the floor, stunned but alive. She did not aim to kill. Humans fought to survive, not destroy without reason. But she needed to protect the ship and herself. Her mind raced. She had to buy more time, and the ship was the perfect tool. Using its semi-sentient systems, she activated a series of automated countermeasures. Holographic illusions filled the hangar, making it appear as though Kayla and the Starship were in multiple places at once. Sparks and energy pulses danced across walls and ceilings, disorienting the scavengers. Every action she took was precise, deliberate, designed to protect without unnecessary bloodshed. The hum of the ship grew louder, almost like it was cheering her on. Kayla felt a strange connection, as if the vessel recognized her human courage, her intelligence, her willingness to face impossible odds. One by one, the scavengers became trapped or incapacitated. Some retreated in confusion, others ran blindly into dead ends. She had turned the hangar from a place of death into a trap for anyone who underestimated humans. Still, she could not stay passive. She had to reach the bridge. From there, she could fully awaken the ship, bring it to life, and escape the dead moon before reinforcements arrived. Kayla sprinted across the hangar floor, sliding past debris and sparks, barely avoiding the collapsing remnants of the ceiling. The scavengers who remained shouted and fired, but the ship's defenses held them at bay. Every step forward felt like a battle in miniature, a dance of human skill against deadly odds. She reached the final corridor, the path to the cockpit. A scavenger charged directly at her, desperation etched on his face. Kayla's mind moved faster than her fear. She triggered a pulse from the ship, knocking him back with a force field. He hit the wall with a grunt, dazed and unable to continue. Kayla's chest heaved, adrenaline pumping. She had made it. The cockpit was within reach. She climbed into the captain's seat and interfaced with the controls fully. The hum became a roar, lights flickering along the walls of the hangar, illuminating every detail of the ship's structure. Kayla's presence had awakened it completely. Systems aligned, navigation calculated, engines prepared. The ship had responded to a human's courage, ingenuity, and determination. From behind her, the scavengers hesitated at the threshold of the cockpit. Kayla looked over her shoulder, calm, confident, and unshakable. Humans survived impossible odds because we refused to back down, because we adapted, because we had courage where others saw only fear. She had done all three, and the ship was hers to command. The hum of the Starship filled her ears, steady and reassuring. Kayla knew the final step: escape, claim the ship, and prove that humans were not to be underestimated. The scavengers could only watch, powerless, as the dead moon's most extraordinary secret came alive under the hands of one human willing to risk everything. Kayla took a deep breath. Her eyes gleamed with determination. The ship beneath her responded instantly, engines humming to life. The final challenge was at hand. Humans never surrendered. Humans never quit. And Kayla had just proven that she could turn the impossible into reality. The scavengers' shouts echoed faintly behind her, but they were irrelevant now. She had the Starship, she had the courage, and she had a human mind capable of mastering what no one else dared touch. Whatever came next, the void outside, the challenges of piloting a ship of such power, the unknown perils of the galaxy, Kayla would face them all. She had survived impossible odds once. She would survive again. And with that, the dead moon trembled, and a human prepared to take command of a sleeping legend. Kayla leaned back in the captain's seat, the Starship vibrating under her touch. The hum of the engines pulsed through her body, steady and powerful. For centuries, this ship had slept in the dead moon's shadow, untouched, unclaimed. Now it responded to a human. Not an alien, not a machine, her. Every system aligned perfectly, as if it had been waiting for someone with courage, intelligence, and determination. The hangar above was silent. The scavengers had scattered, defeated by the ship's defenses and their own arrogance. Kayla's pulse had slowed, but adrenaline still burned in her veins. She looked out through the cockpit's viewport at Vera 9, the gray plains stretching endlessly beneath a dim sun. The moon was desolate, lifeless, but it had just witnessed a human triumph that would echo across the stars. Kayla activated the navigation system, studying the star charts stored in the ship's core memory. Pre-collapse technology had mapped sectors of the galaxy long forgotten, regions rich with resources, hidden colonies, and rare artifacts. This ship could traverse them all. She realized then that her risk, the 3 credits she had spent, the night spent crawling through dust and rubble, was nothing compared to the possibilities now within her reach. A message notification blinked on one of the ship's consoles. Kayla accessed it. Scattered transmissions from human colonies, all desperate for supplies, protection, and hope. She smiled. Humanity had survived centuries of neglect, decay, and danger because we dared to act when others hesitated. Now she could help. Now she could show what humans could achieve when given the tools and the chance. But first she had to test the ship. Carefully she powered up the engines fully. Energy cores glowed brighter, lights traced across the hull, and the vessel hummed in perfect resonance. Kayla's hands danced over the controls, adjusting vectors, stabilizing the power flow. The Starship responded instantly, as if alive, as if it had recognized a human's touch for the first time. A thrill ran through her chest. Humans had always tamed what the universe thought untamable. Why not this ship too? Suddenly, a series of alerts flashed across the display. Scanners detected small debris moving across the moon's surface. Other scavengers, curious about the earlier disturbances, had returned. They did not know the ship's full power or Kayla's skill. Their approach was reckless, but Kayla was ready. She activated the ship's external defenses. Drones lifted from hidden compartments, energy shields shimmered across the hull, and automated turrets powered up. She didn't fire. Humans were not meant to kill without reason. She only needed to demonstrate strength and intelligence. A single pulse from the ship's systems knocked several small vehicles off course, sending them tumbling harmlessly across the rocky plains. The rest of the scavengers stopped, bewildered and terrified. Kayla had proven something vital. A human had claimed the impossible, and nothing would take it from her without consequence. With a deep breath, she guided the ship out of the hangar. Panels groaned and dust cascaded around her, but the Starship moved smoothly, perfectly calibrated. Kayla rose from the seat slightly, gripping the controls with determination. The hangar collapsed behind her, sealing the secrets of the dead moon from anyone who dared follow. She didn't look back. The galaxy waited, and humans were not meant to linger in ruins. As she broke through the moon's atmosphere, Kayla transmitted a message to the nearest human colonies. Her voice was clear, confident, and proud. Humans don't just survive. We awaken what the universe thought was lost. Vera 9 is no longer empty. We have proof that courage, intelligence, and determination define us. The responses came almost instantly, curious, amazed, and hopeful. Colonists, engineers, and explorers shared whispers of admiration. A human had done the impossible. A human had taken a forgotten relic and transformed it into a beacon of hope. Kayla allowed herself a moment to breathe. She thought of the countless human stories that had gone unnoticed. People who risked everything, who faced fear and danger and refused to surrender. She was one of many, but today her story would be remembered. Today the dead moon would bear witness to human courage, and the sleeping Starship would carry it across the galaxy. Her hands rested lightly on the controls. Every system responded, every engine thrummed, every light danced in synchronization. She realized then that this ship was more than a vessel. It was a testament. A testament that humans, when willing to risk, adapt, and act with purpose, could achieve what seemed impossible. The universe had underestimated humanity for centuries, but Kayla had proven it wrong. The ship soared into space, leaving Vera 9 behind. Stars stretched into lines as it accelerated, the hum of the engines a song of power and possibility. Kayla looked at the horizon, feeling the weight of history and the thrill of the future. She was alone, but she was not helpless. She had risked everything and gained everything. A small smile formed on her face. Humans had built civilizations from dust, tamed worlds thought uninhabitable, and faced enemies far stronger than themselves. And yet we endured. We thrived. And now one human had claimed a legend that had slept for centuries. Kayla whispered, almost to herself, "This is only the beginning." The galaxy spread before her like a canvas. She would chart new territories, protect the vulnerable, and uncover mysteries long forgotten. And everywhere she went, the story of a human who dared to risk everything on a dead moon, and awakened a sleeping Starship, would follow. Humans were never ordinary. Humans were never weak. Humans were never meant to be ignored. And Kayla Darnell had just reminded the universe exactly why.